All right, so today we're going to be talking about mini activity 2.3. So to access that, you're going to go to content, you're going to go down to module 2 and down to week number 7. Open that up, and then down here toward the bottom, you will see mini activity 2.3. Go ahead and click on that. And that's where you're going to find the attachment that's going to have all the instructions that I'm going to walk you through today. All right. So as we open that up and we take a look at it, what you're going to notice is that this is a build off of mini activity 2.2. So in 2.2, you did current situation and specific objectives along with your references. Now this week, we're going to make corrections to those sections that you already worked on. And then we're going to add in the proposed solution section. So when we get to the final submission for this, the only thing left that's going to need to be done is going to be that conclusion. So that won't be done yet, but everything else is going to be included. So you should be focusing really intently this week on this proposed solution section in order to get everything done. Okay. Now, as you go in and you look at your mini activity 2.2, you'll find that some of you have some feedback already. Others of you will have feedback as the week progresses, and I have time to get through everything. So just keep an eye on that because those corrections are typically fairly minor and you're able to make those at the last minute. So for the moment, go ahead and focus all of your energy right now on proposed solutions. So in this portion, what you're going to be doing is really just giving me all of the details of your actual solution. So your main heading here is proposed solutions, and then you're going to give me a whole paragraph that just explains to me what the solution is. Explain what it is, how it works, why it works, what objective or what barrier are you trying to overcome with this solution, and give me, of course, a title. Okay, so give me a clear title for your idea and then give me a description of what it is. Once you get through that description, all right, then you're going to give me a subheading that says implementation plan. And then after that, you are going to give me literally every single detail from start to finish, what all is going to be involved, who will take charge, who will keep it going, how will the idea actually be run, what supplies are needed, how will those supplies then be used, plus any additional information that you're going to need. Um, you want to make sure that it is very, very clear. If someone from the moon came in and read your implementation plan, they should be able to understand from start to finish exactly what is going to happen in order to make it achieve what you want it to achieve, to overcome the barriers, to get more students involved, so on and so forth. And you need to make sure that you are using in-text citations and supporting evidence throughout this entire process to showcase that there is viability in your idea. So, what that means is that you want to look for references of where other schools have done something similar, or maybe not even a school, maybe in a workplace environment where they want employees more involved in committees or those kind of things. What are some things, ideas that they did in order to make that work? So, you could even go that direction in order to provide supporting evidence, but you do need to have some. All right, so then your next section is your cost analysis. So as you're working in your group, and some of you are working on implementation plan and some of you are working on cost analysis, these cannot be two totally separate components. Everything that's in the implementation plan, as far as um, anything that's going to cost somebody's wages, who are you actually paying, any design costs, any facility costs, transportation, giveaways, products, employees, you name it, right? Anything that's in the implementation plan has to have a mirror in the cost analysis to explain how you're going to pay for all of those implementation processes. All right. So you need to make sure that those two people or those two groups are working hand in hand so that they mirror one another. Okay. Um, make sure that both in your implementation plan and your cost analysis, you have those in-text citations that showcase, as far as your costs go, you want to talk about here is where we found something similar. And so our estimated cost is based off of a similar cost, such as this. All right, so keep those things in mind. As you go through this, you want to make sure that if you've added any additional resources or references, that you add those references to your reference page. All right, make sure that you don't leave anything out here. And anything you add, you need to have in-text citations to match. Okay, so those should be aligned. All right, so just a couple of thoughts here on this activity. You want to make sure that it is very clear and very detailed. All right, I can't stress that enough for this section. In addition, you need to make sure you have that research integration. All right. And for many of you, you're going to need to do a little bit more research, and it's probably going to involve anywhere from 1 to 4 different additional resources than what you had in your last submission. Your citations, I've said this several times, but I'll say it one more time. You have to have matching in-text citations and references on your APA reference page and in the text, the body of your text. And then feasibility, this is a really important one, and one that I don't think we've talked a lot about, but you want to make sure that within your section, you are discussing what is the practicality of implementation of each solution or of this solution, right? So you're including potential challenges. So what could go wrong? Explain that to me. How could this not be successful? And how are you going to actually address those potential challenges in order to overcome them before they ever even happen? Okay. All right. So as we continue on, just like before, we do need to make sure that we have that email heading in there. You need to have standard font, 12-point font. Your spacing should be single space with 8-point after spacing. This is for the entire course, guys. So make sure that you're incorporating this. Many groups had double spacing, and you do not want that here. Margins 1 inch on all sides. You do need to have that heading, which is bold for each section heading to make it a little bit easier to read and know where those headings are. And then make sure you've got the right font for each of those headings, depending on what level that heading is. And then finally, you have to have a page break before the reference page. I have said that so many times, and yet so many of you still did not incorporate it. So please make sure that you add that this time. Make that part of your corrections, okay? All right, as far as the evaluation for this section, half of your points will be specifically for the proposed solutions section, including things like quality, feasibility, and of course the supporting research for your solution. Next up, we have 20% in incorporating the updates and the additional insights on those sections that you already completed. Another 20% for your references, and then this also includes your in-text citations, okay? So make sure that it's formatted correctly, make sure you have that page break, make sure that it is single-spaced, 8-point after spacing. And finally, formatting and organization of the entire page, which is going to include those headings and your footer. All right. If you have questions, please by all means make sure that you reach out and let me know early so that I can get those taken care of. And just like last week, we will have 2 submissions for this assignment. The first submission is a group submission. Only one person from your group needs to submit for the entire group once everything is done and combined. And then the second submission will be your individual submission. This must be an exact same document submitted for the entire group. Any variations will receive a 0 for not working as a group. Students will highlight the portion that you completed. And guys, this means actually highlighting it, okay? So use a color, yellow, something light preferably, and highlight your section so I know what part that you did. Do not just write people's names on the section that they worked on. You need to highlight your section, okay? If there's no highlighting, you will receive a 0, as I'll have to make the assumption that you did not contribute. All right. You can also include notes when you actually make the submission, and I can show you how to do that. So if there was something different or something you need to explain, then you can add that to the notes. So let's go ahead and view this and let me show you how to add notes, okay? Let's see, module 2. So when you go to actually create a submission, it looks kind of like this. And right here in the comments, this is where you can add notes. So if you're submitting for the entire group and 1 or 2 people in your group maybe didn't contribute or were unavailable for the week, or maybe somebody really stood out and they contributed a lot, this is where you can actually add those notes to let me know. Okay. If you are submitting your individual submission and you want to let me know that not only did you do the section on cost analysis, but you also created the graph or the chart that goes with that section, then you could include that there. Or if maybe you did the introduction and then you also proofread other sections, then this is where you could actually let me know that you proofread, because there's no other way for you to tell me that. That's how you're going to add those notes in with your submission, and then you would simply add your file and submit. Okay, so let's take a quick look here at the example. So this is the example that is available to you guys to see, right? And we see we have the introduction, we have the current situation. As we scroll down, we get to the proposed solutions. And what I want you to notice here is that the first thing is this paragraph, or several paragraphs in this case. We have a single line that gives me basically the title of what your idea is. And then we have several paragraphs that explain the idea and how it will work. Okay. Then this one has the cost analysis and the implementation plan reversed, but as long as they're both there, it's completely acceptable. All right. In this case, they used a table. I also really like the charts that they've used in this. So you could use any variation of charts and tables that work in concert with the information that you are trying to portray. Okay. So last time, propose solutions, explain what your solution is, how it works. Okay. Just the basic ideas. Then give me either the implementation plan, literally start to finish, as many details as you can include on how to make it happen, and your cost analysis, which is going to mirror that implementation plan and include all costs associated and all explanation of costs associated with that implementation plan. Okay. All right. I hope that explains everything. And if you do have any other questions, please feel free to let me know. So far, you guys have done a great job, and I really look forward to seeing your ideas as they come through. Have a great day, guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.